back here at Mallala. And you'll recall that Peter Brock came from dead last in the field in the opening heat today to run in second. Well, there's another charger on the move. The man that has won this route for the last 2 years, and that's Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. Now moving up on the tail here of Thomas Mazera. He started dead last, and boy, is he on the move.
Yeah, up to 6th position. That's quite a remarkable charge from Scaife. The car repaired after that accident with Crompton in the first heat, and obviously going like a train. 10 laps down of this 29-lapper. Scaife still the fastest man on the circuit. His earlier times are anything to go by.
Well, a lot of international tyre horsepower here at Mallala. Directors and service personnel from all the tyre companies really monitoring what's going on here today so that they can make their Bathurst choices over the next week or so.
This could well be the battle we'll see at Mount Panorama in October. Peter Brock, John Bowe, absolutely hammering Thompson. Look how close Bowe gets to the back of Brock's car.
Well, he gets in and under that back wing and then tries to get across on the right-hand side of the road. Brock won't allow that. He just dabs the brakes and gets into the next right-hander and comes out of here wide and goes immediately back to the inside over near the white line just to make sure no one can get down him on this very, very fast sweeper. And that's the closest they've been the last couple of laps. Brock still running in second, Bowe in third, Dick Johnson in fourth as Brock attacks the brakes just a little bit early.
Thomas Mazera coming under fire from Mark Scaife on a charge just at the back of that shot. So battles going on way up and down through the field. There's Johnson in fourth.
Thomas Mazera, 015 is one back, and then it's Mark Scaife still on his charge. If he can get past Mazera, he'll be up to separate these two Falcons pretty quickly, and that's something else that Mark Scaife or Dick Johnson really don't need.
I'll tell you what, Brock is holding Seaton. The gap's only out to 3 seconds. It hasn't got much over that. So Seaton's position stabilising. There's David Attard in the Alcare Commodore, one of our leading privateers, and obviously not a bad, obviously a pretty bad way to end the day for him.
Good to see Dick Johnson up there holding rear gunner position. This is an indication that a few of the teams would be wary of for Bathurst. The strength of the Shell team being able to get 2 cars up there, and their 2 lead drivers running so strong here today with Bathurst only 80-odd days away. Believe me, everyone is thinking on the horizon the results from these 2 rounds now here in Mallala, next week over in Perth.
Well, the time slipping out. Seaton now controlling the pace from the front. He's just slipped up in the mid 1:10-second bracket. 1 minute 10 seconds, and everyone's going with him. Seaton well in control, but the gap has come down. It blew out to 3.3. Now it's down to 2.2, the gap between Seaton and Brock. So Brocky, even with his mirrors full of Bowe, isn't slowing off the pace at all.
No, I think you'll find that Seaton ran up on a couple of lap cars at a critical moment. I know one was Kevin Waldock, and it took him all of the first and second turns to find a way past. Brock and John Bowe had an easier task to pass him, and that's why Brock's made some ground up. Actually got away from John Bowe a little bit through this part of the circuit.
He has opened the gap a little. Let's monitor these times and see if John's sliding off the pace perhaps, but you've got Johnson right behind him. Thomas Mazera, his teammate, behind in 5th.
I really do think this is a sterling effort by Peter Brock here today to have had the problem in the first heat go to the back of the field. There's nothing more demoralizing for a driver. He got his head together, he fought back, he finished second, and now running at the pace he is here at this second heat, credit to him, really.
There's been a little tapping going on here too, let me tell you. Scaife has tried to, on a couple of occasions, to pass Thomas Mazera. Thomas is desperately trying to finish a point in front. You've got to keep in mind the old factory deal versus the privateers, and I think Scaife is becoming somewhat frustrated here. Detected a little smoke coming out last time from outside rear of Thomas's car.
Yeah, it did look like that, Mick.
They head on down past the pits on the left, which goes to show how close, Alan mentioned how close the cars are. Bip, bip, bip. That's just a bip. Just one more now. Can I get back on the inside of him? No. Thomas immediately turns right as they get out of the turn. That's how close they are.
It's quite interesting. You see just how much roll these Winfield cars have. When he returns into the corner, the inside wheel stops spinning, so it's getting very light as the car changes direction.
No weight at all on it.
And that's the way Scaife likes it. Nice, softly sprung car with plenty of roll. Good drive out of the corners. Comes up behind Mazera.
He's working hard here. We saw John Bowe do this to Peter Brock, but Scaife is working hard on Mazera.
18 laps down. This 29 lapper. So Brock's inside wheel just Locks momentarily again. A bit of battle damage on the front lip of the Winfield Commodore. He's giving Thomas a bit of a tap. Come on, son, move along.
Very hard to drive like this on these types of corners because Mark can't see the exact apex. He has to rely on where he sees the Commodore in front of him moving. It's not too easy to drive so close like this.
Tell you what, you want to keep an eye on his teammate too. That gap is down to 2 seconds now between Brock and Seaton. Whether it's traffic or whether Seaton's backing off, we don't know, but the gap is continually coming down, that's for sure.
And Brock also starting to pull away from Bauer. This is the only really close scrap. It was there for half a lap back as Scaife made a lunge at Thomas Mazzera. But Thomas able to get away from him again. That must be frustrating for Mark Scaife, but pretty good for Thomas and the HRT boys. It's back to the end of the back straight. There you saw Alan Jones coming into play. Right behind him was Jimmy Richards. So a bit of a gap developing between Peter Brock and John Bauer, but the gap is closing between Peter Brock and the race leader, Len Seaton. Yeah. Seaton coming in to rip one more lap off.
Just coming under fire here from Scaife. Plenty of smoke coming off the tyres. These guys are driving right on the limit. There's Jimmy Richards hovering behind Alan Jones.
Just clicked off the 20th lap, so getting towards the last quarter.
And it's coming down again. 1.7 seconds the gap between Brock and Seaton now. Could Glenn be in trouble? Is he backing off, or is Brock just closing in? The times are so close. Brock 0.3 of a second faster that time around than Seaton. We'll keep an eye on that.
Well, Brock's done a fabulous job. If that is the case, that he's able to deal with John Bauer and at the same time still pick up Glenn Seaton.
Yeah, well,
passing him might be another problem, particularly if you've got John Bauer right on your tail. Here's the gap. Brock going through there. John Bauer. Then it's Dick Johnson. And here's this argument going on again between Thomas Mazzera and Mark Scaife in car number 1. Back behind them, it's Alan Jones.
There must be something in this Bridgestone story. There's 3 Bridgestone cars in the top 10 at the moment. They're all running in the 9s. Everyone else is in the 10s. These tyres just seem to come on so strongly toward the end of the race. And look at the amount of real estate Jones is making up.
There's another one. Another little tap there, and he almost lost it himself, but he'll certainly be unsettling Thomas with those. And
Thomas
might be a few
sideways.
words here.
Mark's getting very frustrated back there. Let's see if he looked down the inside. No, tucks back inside. Oh, he gets the wheel up the rival strip. Thomas heads over the rough stuff.
Yes.
And Wilt's under the pressure. Scaife pushes his way through.
That was really what did happen too, wilting under pressure.
That's almost fair enough too. Parnell and Jones used to have a theory. It was one tap and then the next one was for real. I think Mark was pretty patient. And good job here by Seaton. Again, really riding the curbs to maximum advantage. Slightly different setup to Mark Scaife's, but nevertheless still allowing him to ride those curbs.